Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. What am I going to talk about today is risk and risk assessment. This is a factor in investing which most of you tend to overlook and not pay much attention to. And it is a very, very important factor of investing, especially when you're doing value investing and you're investing for long periods of time. This is an assessment which you should do periodically and frequently, like how we reassess our portfolios and reassess our investments at least annually. When we say risk, most of us think only in terms of the instrument we're investing in, and we think like risk in stocks, risk in small caps, risk in large cap, risk in bonds, risk in gold. It's all outward. That is not the risk I'm talking about. I'm talking about the risk which comes inward. That risk is your personal risk, your risk tolerance, as they say, or your appetite for risk. And this is something which is subjective. It's not quantitative. There's no equation which you can put it into and it will spit you out a number and say this is your tolerance number. It doesn't exist. What it is, it's subjective, meaning it depends on your mood. Anything which is subjective is how you feel, is what you tend to generally gravitate towards, is called subjective. So when you look at it in that lens, you have to align this with your goals. So risk is something, I would say, something you would lose in bargain. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have climbing a mountain. What is the risk of climbing the mountain? The climbing the mountain is having an accident, the worst case, dying. If that happens, what could happen to you? Well, if you're a young man and you're a bachelor, yes, your parents might miss you. If you have parents, your siblings might miss you. And your assessment might be like that, where you think, I might be willing to take the risk to do this because the payoff is huge. If I manage to climb the mountain and I'm successful, it will give me a certain amount of fame, it will give me a certain amount of glory. So fast forward, let's say we talk 10 years from now, where you're married and you have a child, and we talk about climbing the same mountain, same risk. What can possibly happen? You can injure yourself or death can happen. At this point of time, the payoff seems to have shrunken. The idea of becoming famous, the idea of becoming popular, on monetizing this kind of becomes very diminished when you think of your wife and your child being stuck on this world without you around and the responsibility you've taken on. So that same risk reward changes dramatically when the situation changes. This is the kind of assessment you should be doing when you're thinking of investing. So in each stage in our life, we have different amounts of risk tolerance and we have different appetites for risk. And you should learn to assess this periodically and methodically from the get-go. Before you start investing, you should understand where you're putting your money, what can be the possible outcome. And if that possible outcome, the worst case scenario does happen, the fallout, will you be able to stomach it? Let me say this because it's important. Understanding what you should have is the investment which you're making, and if there's a possible fallout is you lose everything and you're wiped out, will you be able to stomach it? Will you be able to bear that financial loss? That is known as risk tolerance, personal risk assessment. This has got nothing to do with the investment class. It's got nothing to do with what happens outside. This is all internal. And each phase in your life, your risk tolerance changes dramatically. When you're a bachelor, like a lot of you are like Kesav, who's just starting out in life, like a lot of you message me on Instagram saying, Sir, I'm living with my parents. They don't need my money. I don't need to give them anything. I live with them. So my entire salary I can invest. Great. But that risk tolerance which you have right now, where you think I can do anything, I can take any kind of gamble, dramatically changes within 5 years if you have gotten married, if you've taken on a home loan. 7 years goes by, you've taken on a home loan, you're married for a few years and you have your first child. Again, your risk assessment changes. No more are you in the same bracket as what you were talking about when we started investing. But if you do not do this assessment on a regular basis, your investment plan, which you initially came out with, will be still stuck in your own old risk assessment mind frame. And most people do not realize this and they continue investing in the same methodology which they started with, continuing to do the same risk assessment using the same pattern and continuing to invest like that, which leads to a tremendous heartbreak and losses when things in the market turn sour. This is why I say it is important to understand and have a good relationship with risk management. And what are some of the good relationships to have with risk is to understand risk, to be educated about risk, The best way to reduce risk is through knowledge, to understanding. Not only understanding what is happening in the outer market, what is happening internally. What are your goals realistically? What are your commitments realistically? What are the worst case scenarios that can play out to you realistically? And by taking that into account, you should form your goals. And based on that, you should assess what you can really invest and how much you can invest and how much of a loss you can bear. And as soon as you have a life changing event happening to you, such as retirement or marriage or having a child or child's education, you need to then and there reassess your risk and make sure you immediately change your goals, you change your investment strategy, rejig your portfolio at that point of time to align with your risk. And if you don't do this periodically, and if you don't do this kind of maintenance, it is like buying a car and you don't bother taking it ever for a tune up or a checkup or anything from the day you got it in the showroom and you've just been driving it. A day will come and the car will suddenly break down and the mechanic will look at you shocked and say, "Sir, you should have brought this in for service long ago. Why didn't you do this?" That is the kind of attitude most of you have towards investing. And that kind of scares me. So I wanted to do a video to address this specifically, that is about risk tolerance and risk assessment in a personal level and why you should be doing this frequently. I hope you enjoy the video and I'll see you in the next one soon. Bye.
It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.